Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Halloween is just around the corner and I wanted to share my own paranormal event or story that happened to me when I was a little kid. So let's get right into it. So this happened in Santa Ana, California, here in the United States, and I was about 5 to maybe 7 years old. I can't remember exactly how old I was, but I remember I was pretty young, and my mom and I went to my aunt's house and stayed there for the most of the day and ended up sleeping over. As a child, I always spent a lot of time at my aunt's house hanging out with my cousins, and I've never had any real paranormal thing happen to me, but this is one of the stories that everybody kind of remembers, and I'll tell you why. Now, as a kid, I don't really recall getting up in the middle of the night, so for me to wake up in the middle of the night was kind of rare. In addition to ask for something in the middle of the night was even rarer. So we ended up hanging out at the house, and then ended up getting ready for bed. So after sleeping for several hours, I woke up super thirsty, very, very thirsty. I've never been thirsty like this in my whole life, and specifically at night or in the middle of the night. So I was sleeping with my mom and I had to wake her up. I woke her up and I told her, "Mom, I'm really thirsty. Can I get a glass of water?" And of course, I never asked for water before, so of course she said yes, and got up and proceeded to go down the doorway and then made a left towards the kitchen. So let me remind you, I'm at my aunt's house, and my other cousins, they're a couple years older than I was at the time, and we slept in one of my cousin's bedroom and ended up taking her bed, and so there was my other cousins were spread out around the house. So I'm laying there, and the footing of the bed is facing the doorway, so I'm able to see the doorway straight ahead, and of course I'm just sitting up there waiting for my mom to come back. As I'm sitting there, I started to notice one child appear out of nowhere, and next thing you know, several others towards the left started appearing, and I couldn't believe it. I wasn't scared, but I was looking at this and I was like, am I dreaming? So I rubbed my eyes, I started looking around, maybe it's some sort of lighting, and I turned around towards the doorway, and I'm still seeing these kids. It was about 3 or 4 kids kind of lined up in front of the doorway. So I wasn't really scared, but I was intrigued, and I kept looking towards these kids, and I was trying to get more details and trying to focus and trying to see if I can define some of their features, and I felt more empathy towards them because they look kind of dressed like old vintage Victorian era, and they look very, very poor. They looked like they were really hungry, they looked like they were really thirsty, and they had this super sad face on them, like they were looking at me and they were like, "Please give me some water, please give me some food, please, we're hungry, we're thirsty." So I just like felt bad and sad for these kids, and next thing I know, my mom walks towards the doorway and she's standing there with a glass of water, and in front of her are still these kids. So then I go, "Mom, look at all the kids." And then she's like, "What do you mean?" So she's looking around and she's like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "Look right there, right in front of you on the doorway. There's like 3 or 4 kids. You don't see them?" And she's like, "No, I don't see anything." And she's freaking out. She's like looking at me like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "Dude, they're like right there." And I just could see them. And she was just kind of like, weirded out by it. So she's standing there for a minute, and right before she started walking forward, the kids kind of disappeared and went away. So she walks towards me and gives me the glass of water, and I start drinking it, and she's just kind of sitting by my side just waiting for me to finish my glass of water to ask me what's going on. So I finish my water and give her back the glass, and she puts it away, and she asked me, what is it that you saw? And I just told her what I just finished seeing. It's like, these kids are poor, They're very hungry, they're very thirsty, their clothes are very dirty, they're very fatigued, and they're ripped. One of them, I think, had like it looked like a potato sack, like a burlap, type dressing. They just look very, very old, So I was like, oh man, I didn't see any color you know, they almost seem to look more like a warmish tone to them. They weren't like full color or anything, but they were kind of like misty. So she finally calms me down and tells me to go back to bed. It's probably you're dreaming, or that's probably something else. So I'm kind of like weirded out. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. So I kind of lay down and we start falling asleep. And this kind of story is my mom's side of the story, because I am like literally laying against, I guess, the right side of the bed, which is like against the wall, and she's kind of like on the edge. So she tells me that after we lay down and started kind of falling asleep, she started feeling something on the right side of the bed. So she started getting creeped out, and she's like, oh my god, what is that? Next thing you know, she felt a little hand on the bed. So she's freaking out and she's about to scream, and then my cousin that was sleeping inside the room said, Tia, I'm scared. Can I sleep with you guys? So my mom's relieved that it's just my cousin. So she's like, oh my god, yeah, sure, sleep with us. So it turns out that my cousin woke up at the same time that I woke up to ask for water. So she's listening to everything that I'm saying, describing the kids and what I just saw in her own bedroom. So this story gets told around every time I go and visit my family, because they all remember when I saw that. And the funny part, that we thought that the kids were climbing into the bed, but essentially it was just my cousin that was really, really scared and wanted to come sleep with us as well. So just recently I went to go see my aunt at a party, and just out of the blue we started talking about this again, and it turned out that there was more paranormal events that happened at that particular house as well when I was in there. So things like turning on and off, the lady downstairs, because it was an upstairs apartment, would hear kids run around, and she would complain to my aunt, like, what's going on? Are your kids running around and jumping around? But at the time, when that happened, my other cousins, they're already at school. My aunt's at work, my uncle's at work, there's nobody at the house. So she's like, yeah, pretty much all day I'm hearing these kids jump around from the couch to the floor. They're running around and playing. My aunt's like, what are you talking about? And to make it even weird, my aunt just told me that when they first moved into that particular apartment, the lady downstairs said, hey, hopefully you guys stay here for a while, good luck, hopefully you guys don't move out soon. So she kind of took it like, oh, okay, well, like, what's going on? So it turned out that other families had moved in to that top apartment and only lasted about 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, but they all left. They just picked up their stuff and left. Some of them actually left stuff and didn't even take it with them. So that's why the lady's saying that, she was like, oh, well, hopefully you guys stay longer than the previous people, because they never stay. They're always moving in and out. So she couldn't figure out why. So my aunt ended up staying at the apartment for like 14 years, and they had little events happen here and there, but nothing too crazy. But when they actually moved out after the 14 years, they took all their stuff out of the apartment, and they heard something like towards the back side of the apartment. Like, they heard, I don't know what they heard, but they were scared. And so my aunt turns around to my cousin, now she's older, right, and she goes, let's get out of here. So they kind of rushed out. They didn't run, but they kind of rushed out the door, and while they were running out, they heard footsteps coming from the back of the room towards the front, following them. So they rushed out of there, and I mean, these steps were big. They like boom, boom, boom. So she heard it, and she's like, she turns around, she lets my cousin out first, and then she says, "No, you're not coming with us." And then she shuts the door, and that's the last time she ever went into that apartment. Well, guys, I hope you enjoy this little story of mine, and it's true. This is what I saw when I was younger, and I think a lot of kids, when they're, when they're young, they have this other sense that they see things. I don't know what's going on, but I believe it because I saw it myself. So it's just something that's weird. I don't know if it's senses, I don't know what's going on, but just listen to your kids when they're scared. Sometimes they do see things and there's stuff around, so always listen to your kids. Alright guys, and that's gonna be it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Sleep well and happy Halloween.